Life can be painful, but do not fear the trials you will face. Hard ground makes stronger roots.
What's up guys, Deroir here and welcome to another episode of Hype Time. Like some of you may know, I am very excited for the Revenant to launch, and today we just got information about the third legend that will be available for the Revenant, beside the defensive Jalas and the condition heavy Maliks. The third legend is going to be Ventari, the creator of Ventari's tablet, the guidelines for all Sylvari born from the Pale Mother. Now I'm going to be the first to admit that I was wrong regarding my idea that Ventari wouldn't enter the game, despite the fact that a lot of things were data mined about him a while back. Honestly, I guess I was just hoping we wouldn't see a legend completely devoted to the idea of pacifism, but alright. On a related note, the reveal of Ventari as the third legend does to a certain degree assure my thoughts about the certainty of Shiro Tagachi being the fourth legend and Glint being the first elite specialization for the Revenant. But enough about that for the time being. Let's talk about the specifics of Ventari, then we can discuss it. Ventari will be focused around healing, but not the commonly known pulsating AoE or combo field kind of healing. No, instead, when Revs invoke the power of Ventari, they'll have access to one skill. Activating this skill summons Ventari's tablet, which is the core element of this legend. You see, once you summon the tablet, the rest of your skills will appear, and every one of these skills will influence the tablet. Think of it as a guardian tome mixed with the concept of a spirit summoning, but instead the tablet switches out all your utility skills, which is common for Revenants. The way this works is that once the tablet is summoned, every utility skill you use will influence the tablet in one way or another, which in itself will require effective positioning of the tablet to make good use of it. Positioning it can be done a number of different ways, such as using the skill Ventari's Will, which wills the tablet to move to a certain location, and while it moves, it heals all the enemies that cross its path. I would imagine this to be a ground targeted skill. Another way to move it is to use the elite skill Energy Expulsion, which overloads the tablet, causing it to explode, knocking back foes and leaving behind fragments that heal allies. Most likely this will be just like we saw with the Dragon Hunter's healing trap, that scattered healing fragments all around the place, or like the engineer med packs that can be dropped around, but instead of regeneration you'll just receive a set amount of healing. Now the interesting thing about exploding the tablet is that not only will you be able to relocate the tablet, you'll also momentarily lose every utility skill you have in favor of the one skill to summon the tablet again. Well, lastly, there's a skill that got me quite excited called Protective Solace. This skill creates a protective barrier around the entire tablet, which destroys enemy projectiles. This skill is the upkeep skill for the legend, meaning you can simply toggle it on and off at the cost of rapid energy depletion. I really hope this can be traded to Reflect, that way we'll have a 360-degree superior defense, but I doubt that will happen since this may already be a little too powerful depending on the energy drainage, of course. Either way, the skill is quite powerful in a wide array of situations, especially considering the fact that the tablet still has the ability to be moved when the shield is up. I can easily imagine a Revenant invoking the power of Ventari to hold a point in PvP. As long as your allies are close to the tablet, they'll be supported in a number of different ways. I wonder though whether or not the tablet will have its own health pool, making it possible for foes to destroy it. Along with the legend of Ventari comes a very synergistically fitting weapon, a staff. For once, the staff isn't used as a ranged weapon. Instead, it'll be a mix of martial and magical styles, all aimed at supporting your allies. It's heavily focused on damage prevention rather than directly offensive attacks to synergize with the style of Ventari. That's a shame, I have to say, but I'll touch on that in a bit. First, we have two examples of the skills that will be available for the staff. One being Rejuvenating Assault, which cleaves foes and creates healing orbs as you hit. The second is Surge of the Mist, which allows you to charge forward, knocking back enemies in your path. I imagine this to be somewhat similar to the Warrior's Bull Charge, but with a whole lot more knockbacks than just a single knockdown. Honestly, I've had high hopes for the idea of using a staff in melee ever since it was teased to us in the Hot trailer. I honestly thought it might have the potential to bear with a whole bunch of damage. I would have never expected it to revolve around support. Now, I do see the obvious usefulness of the staff's auto attack during scrimmages with strong foes or players, with the incentive to keep moving around to collect these healing fragments to stay alive. But I really would have preferred the weapons to be at least somewhat separate from the conceptual legends themselves, because currently to me it looks like using a staff with, let's say, Malik's would be close to stupidity, because the simple synergy between healing power and condition efficiency just doesn't exist. And when revenants aren't able to have more than one weapon in combat, it sort of kills it for me, simply because that means that whatever second legend you use won't necessarily synergize with your chosen weapons in any way, which basically just compromise any combination of legends. Then again, I'm not stupid. I do see the appeal of having Ventari's tablet as my personal protective minion in the heat of the battle in some cases. That is, if we can expect for it to work just as effectively as Elementalists switch into water and blasting water fields, or Engineer's healing turret. If not, switching completely out of a battle stance to spend ages on casting times and placement of the tablet, only to have it explode as you switch back to a more offensive legend, or it gets killed by a strong boss, just doesn't seem entirely appealing, if I may say so. My biggest hope for the Revenant would be for every legend to possibly synergize with one another in one way or the other, instead of having what looks to be an abrupt split in play just by invoking another legend. All around, I'm just very skeptical of any supportive addition to the gameplay. I know every single profession already have some element of support, but Guild Wars 2 doesn't have the same trinity of play as many other MMOs, and so healing power really doesn't see much action. But perhaps that will change with Heart of Thorns. Instead, we have a heavy focus on damage, and so I'm afraid many of these cool new gimmicky skills may not get much use, especially if the mechanics of actually using Ventari are just as clunky as using the hammer is. Though I can imagine a strong potential for a Revenant synergizing the legends of Ventari and Jalis to enter the PvP or World vs. World scene, I still fear for its effectiveness on the PvE front. There's currently a weird trend going on with the majority of the Revenant legends, where it's way easier to provide defensive boons than it is to provide offensive advantages. Seriously, I tested this during last week's beta event, and even with the access to all the Revenant's blast finishers, it was still only possible to stack 6 stacks of might for a very limited time, with 3 stacks being most common, whereas I could easily hit a cap of 1.5 minutes of speed alongside unending strings of resistance and stability. The payoff for charging and using the only available fire field for the Revenant just isn't really cutting it for me. Right now, the Revenant has really great potential in a World vs. World circ, or as a point guard in PvP. Perhaps it's just the Celestial gear clouding my judgment, but it seems that Revs really lack efficient use of power, both from weapons and skills. Here's to hoping Shiro Tagachi will be the 4th legend, bringing in swords and power for the Revenant, along with more of the awesome mobility we've seen with Malik's and the use of the axe. Hopefully, the Legend of Shiro will synergize perfectly with Malik's, that way we can finally come to witness true ultimate power. But what are your thoughts on this? Are you excited about invoking the power of Ventari, or are you just waiting for a power-based legend to be announced? Let me know in the comment section down below. Either way, I really hope we'll see every detail about the Legend of Ventari in Friday's live stream. Perhaps that may put some of my concerns to rest. But for now, that's all I have for you guys this time. Thank you all for watching. Until next time, I will see you in the mists.